Alright guys, here's the review for the tests. The first question here is, can you write the slope-intercept form with these 2 points? You should be able to. Remember, the slope formula is y equals mx plus b. Now b is always the y when x is 0. So, there it is. This number is 2. Okay? Now the slope is y minus y divided by x minus x. So you've been given 2 points, 2 y's and 2 x's. So this y minus this y over this x minus this x. So 2 minus 5 over 0 minus 3. This is going to give us -3. This is also going to give us -3, which means the slope is positive. And what's 3 divided by 3? 1. So 1x is really just written just x equals y. If you would have gotten a number like 3 over 8, let's change this. If you got 3 over 8, then the answer is 3 over 8 right here. If one of the numbers is negative, then the slope is going to be negative, okay? But yeah, pretty simple. If you know how to subtract and you know that the y-intercept is 1 with the 0, this should be a simple problem. Now this one. This one is asking if the slopes are the same, meaning are they going in the same direction? So it says select all that apply that go all in the same direction. So does AE, which is this one, AE, does AE go in the same direction as DC? Nope, so that's a no. Does AB go in the same direction as CB? No, even though they're both going up, they're not going exactly the same slope. We're talking about slopes here. AD and DC, AD and DC, that's correct. So that one's yes. Last one is EB, which is this one here. Is that one going in the same direction as AB? Oh yeah, that's going in the same direction as well. So these 2 are the right answers for this one. Really, really simple. Now, let's go over here. Now you have this formula here. So this formula here and this point, and they want you to finish it. Okay, so for right now, you have this point. You have 1 point, and you know this, which is the y-intercept, which is 0, 2, right? Just like the first question, 0, 2. 2 is the y-intercept, so here is the other point. So now you have 2 points, which means you can find out the slope. This point is -3, because you always throw the x first, and 4. The y is second. Okay, so we'll start with this one. This is -3. So remember, the formula is y minus y divided by x minus x. Okay, so let's choose this one. So we'll do the y's first. So this y minus this y. So 4 minus 2 divided by this x minus this x. And -3 minus 0. So 4 minus 2 gives me 2. And -3 minus 0 gives me -3. One of them is negative. So the slope is -2 over 3x. And that's the entire formula right there. All right? Pretty simple. If you had a problem, rewind it. We almost repeated the same thing we did in the first one, but we had to use this clue to find that second point. Okay, remember the y-intercept is when the line hits the y line. All right, next one. From this one here, is this a straight line, yes or no? Okay, how do you check that? Well, this is increasing consistently by 3, right? Every single time it increases by 3. And this one, every single time, it goes down by 1. So all of these ratios, 3 over -1, 3 over -1, 3 over -1, they're all the same, which means, yes, this is making a straight line. Now, let's say one of them was this. Let's say you were doing something and one of them came out to 6 over -2. That's still a yes. Why? Because 6 divided by negative 2 gives you the same answer as 3 divided by negative 1. So that's still good. But what if this happens? What if the top goes up by 6, but the bottom goes down by 1? This is not the same as that, so that would be a no. But for this one right now, this one is a yes. It's making a straight line because it's consistently going up by the exact same rate. Okay, the fraction is the same every single time. This one here. Now, in these problems, you're going to be solving. So this one was question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and now we're on question 5, 6, 7, 8 are going to be like this, where you're solving these. So this side looks like a two-step equation, so we're going to leave it alone. This side doesn't. We're going to have to do the distributive property with the 3. 3 times a half and 3 times 2. 3 times a half is 3 times the numerator, which is 3 over 2x, and then 3 times the positive 2 gives you a positive 6. 4x minus 2. Now there you go. Now a lot of you are thinking, Mr. Castrovis, there's a fraction in it. I hate fractions. How do I get rid of the fraction? Well, if you want to get rid of the fraction and work the problem without any fractions, what you do is multiply the entire thing by the denominator. So every single number is going to be multiplied by 2. Every single number in the whole thing is going to be multiplied by 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 divided by 2 actually gives you a whole number, which is 3x. 2 times 6, that gives you 12. 2 times 4 gives you 8x. 2 times a negative 2 gives you negative 4. And there you go. Now, this is a simple problem to solve. Our problem right now is that there's 2 x's. Okay, I don't like when there's 2 x's, one on this side and one on that side. So we got to get rid of one. I always get rid of the smaller number, which is this one. Minus 3x. Minus 3x. You're going to be left with a 12 on this side, a 5x on this side, and a minus 4 coming down. Because 8 minus 3x's gives you 5x's. Now, again, our goal is to leave the x by itself, and there's 2 numbers around it, so we got to get rid of those numbers. And you always look at the furthest number on the same side. So the 4 is the furthest number, so we got to get rid of 4 by adding 4. Add 4 to both sides. Our new answer is 16 equals 5x. How do we leave the 5 by itself? We do the opposite of what is happening to the x. Here it was subtracting by 4, so we added by 4. Here it's multiplying with 5, so we are going to divide it by 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5, 16 over 5. You could leave it like that. You could simplify it to 3 1/5, or you could write it in the calculator and you'll get 3.2. Right answer, right answer, right answer. All right? Now we're going to this one here. Now let me see here. So now we have a situation where we only have the ends on each side. And this throws a couple people, but it's actually much easier. I have to get rid of an end, right? So I'm going to get rid of this one. Even if this one was the smaller one, I would still get rid of this one. Why? Because if I get rid of this, there's nothing on that side, which is not good. You want your answer to say n equals an answer. So there has to be one side with n and one side with something. Okay, so if I remove this n from here, there's a side with nothing, which we don't want. So our best case scenario right here is minus 4n. This cancels. Minus 4n, and this leaves us with 6n equals 18. So now we don't have n's on both sides. Now we have an n on one side. Now our goal is to leave the n by itself by doing the opposite of what is happening to the n. So right now 6 and n are multiplying. So to get rid of the 6, we have to divide by 6. Divide by 6. So n, why? Because 6 divided by 6 is 1, and we have 1 n. And how do you write 1 n? Just n. And 18 divided by 6 is 3, which is what I wanted. N equals something. N equals 3. That's the answer for this. This one here, this one right here. So now, what I'm doing here is both sides look odd. They don't look like a regular two-step equation. So I'm going to work this left side first. First, I can do a distributive property here. 2 times the x, and 2 times the 2. This gives me 2x plus 2 minus 10. Now, once you do the distributive property, the parentheses vanish. Okay, so that's what you're looking at right now. So now we're still working on the left only. Still, it doesn't look right. Yes, there's 1x, but then there's 2 numbers that are useless. Plus 2 and minus 10. Okay? So if I gave you $2 and then you lost $10, how was your day that day? Oh, it was okay, but I lost $8. Because I made 2 and lost 10, I lost $8. So now this side looks right. Now I have to fix this side. Here I have 3 x's and then a plus x. So together that will make 4 x's. And then the minus 6 just comes down because it can't combine with anything. Now this looks like all the stuff we've been doing. Let's get rid of the 2x, minus 2x. Goodbye, minus 2x. Now we're left with just one side with an x. That's easy now. So here we're going to, instead of minus 6, we're going to add 6. Okay? So add 6, we're left with negative 2 equals 2x. Okay? Now, how do we leave the x by itself? We divide by 2 because they're multiplying. 2 and x are multiplying. So to get rid of it, we're going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 gives you 1x, which is written like this. But whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we're going to divide this by 2, which will give us negative 1. All right, so far so good. Now this one here. Now the question here, what you just saw was something with one solution. Okay? After we did this, I'm going to erase all this stuff here, because this is what the questions above are about. I'm going to erase this. This side was 2x minus 8, and this side was 4x minus 6. Now, the question here for the last 4 questions, okay, the questions for the last 4 questions are, how many solutions does this have? Now, you just saw me solve it, that it has only one solution. But you would have known that from here. If the slopes are the same, then you have, if the slopes are the same, then if the slopes are not the same, I'm so sorry. If the slopes are not the same, there is one solution. Okay? If it's like this, if the slopes are the same, but these y-intercepts are different, then there are no solutions, 0 solutions. And the last thing is, if everything is exactly the same, then there is an infinite amount of solutions. All right? And then that's it. I couldn't go over these examples. Look at these examples. One of them has infinite solutions and one of them has 0 solutions. Figure it out. I gotta go. Bye.